This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening and welcome to the July 25th, 2023 meeting of the North Haven Board of Police Commissioners. My name is Larry Lazoff. I'm the chairman. To my left is Robin Wilson, our vice chairman. To my right is Mark Calafiore, our secretary. To his right is Commissioner Mead. And to his right is Commissioner Bob Hannon. I'd like to ask for approval of the minutes of the June 12th, 2023 special meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Approval of the minutes for the June 27th, 2023 meeting of regular and executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have any correspondences?
Mr. Chairman, we have one piece of correspondence, and this is from Mrs. Jamie Kazmarek and Brandy Mandello, and they just want to thank the police department in general, but in particular they want to thank Lieutenant Matt Falcon and Officer Brianna Sargent. Dear Lieutenant Matt and Officer Brianna, we at the North Haven Pride want to thank you so much for ensuring the safety and security of our event, the Gay Pride event that just recently was held here in North Haven. So they want to thank the officers for keeping them safe and keeping the event nice and orderly. So thank you, Lieutenant Matt Falcon and Brianna Sargent, specifically. Thank you.
Thank you. For Chairman's report, there's very little for me tonight. I just wanted to compliment the chief and the deputy and Peg for their great job in staying within the budget. I'm sure the chief will talk about that. I know these are trying times, and with a lot of overtime that had to be used because of people being in the post academies and they're in training and FTOs. It's really quite a great job. So compliments and kudos to you guys, and a lot of work went into that. And I speak on behalf of the board. We really compliment you on a great job. Just a reminder, public service announcement as well, like we do every month, please lock your cars, your homes, your sheds, et cetera, and be careful with pedestrians, bikers, children at play, et cetera, et cetera. And with that, I will pass it along to the chief.
Thank you. I'll start with the budget, as I usually do. We closed last fiscal year at 99.6% expended. Like you said, it was a rough year for us, specifically with overtime that was abnormally high throughout the year, but Deputy Chief, the command staff, supervisors did a nice job buttoning things up and pulling back at the half-year mark, so we were happy that we came in under budget again. It's currently too early to track the 23-24 budget, obviously, but as you get those reports in the next month or two, just keep in mind that there's a number of expenditures, especially on the smaller lines, that are annual payments, maintenance packages, things like that. Some are quarterly payments, so when you see the first month of the budget, and some things look like they're 25-40% expended already, that's really being driven by those annual payments that are all up front in July and carries us throughout the year. So it's nothing to be alarmed about. We're in good shape, and we should be in very good shape this year, specifically because of staffing. So currently our police force with 4 officers recently coming off field training. We have 53 out of the 56 budgeted positions out on the road, which is helping us with staffing, cutting down on overtime, but also just as important or more important, out in the neighborhoods and business districts, showing a presence. Also in our dispatch center, which was something that drove our overtime last year, we're in better shape now. We have 6 out of the 8 positions fully functioning on their own. We have 1 dispatcher who will be on her own in the next 4 to 6 weeks, brings us to 7 out of 8. And over the next week, we're going to start onboarding our last dispatch position. So we're positioned much better this year at this time than we were last year. So we feel good about that. So speaking of the police staffing at 53 out of 56, this allows us to get through the summer months, which is high in vacation time, which is a driver and overtime, keep us in good shape as we approach September, which is our final bid period, the last 4 months of the year. It also allows us to add 1 position to our traffic division, which will help with our enforcement, our funeral escorts, our motor vehicle accident investigations, and taking care of our fleet. So we're going to add 1 position to our traffic division in the beginning of September. Also, towards the end of the year, we'll be able to assign one investigator to the DEA task force. And that's also a huge benefit to the town of North Haven. We've enjoyed that relationship for almost 10 years now. The last few years, we got away from it for a number of different reasons, so we're excited to get back involved with that collaboration. As you know, Lieutenant Chris Spose is our field training coordinator. He's done a great job, especially over the last few years, because we've been onboarding so many new officers. So he gets a little bit of a break now, but we have 3 new officers in the academy, and this is going into our new personnel. But those 3 recruits were sworn in June 12th, started in-house training, and then the academy on July 7th. Our anticipated graduation from the academy will be in January 2024, with field training and evaluation ending sometime in mid-April 2024. So we look forward to that, and we will be in even better shape as long as no one else retires or long-term injuries or leaves us for any reason. Under the traffic report, we have been participating in the South Central Regional Traffic Enforcement Team. This is the 2nd year we participated in this. This is a spin-off of our SWAT team, collaboration with 5 other municipalities, an accident reconstruction team. Last year we started a traffic enforcement squad. It's been well received, and today was the first day this year that team was in North Haven. Sergeant D. Pascal, as our traffic sergeant, is a team leader on that team. And just to give you some of the stats from today, just in an 8-hour shift, having this regional team in town, we've had 85 traffic stops, issued 8 misdemeanor summons, 38 infractions, 41 either verbal or written warnings. We towed 6 vehicles, and we conducted radar enforcement as well as license plate reader enforcement on Washington Avenue, the Route 22 connector, Montagues Avenue, Quinnipiac Avenue, and Universal Drive. So these are really statistics that we see in our patrol division over a 2-week span that we're able to capture in just an 8-hour shift. So we're really happy that we're participating in that endeavor. Still under traffic report, some of the traffic signals in town that have been problematic. Universal Drive in front of Barnes & Noble. Still on flash. We spent a lot of time and effort on this intersection with the vendor. They've had trouble trying to diagnose the problem. They've tried to put in temporary switches and equipment to diagnose it, but we still haven't found the problem, so that's ongoing. The intersection of Elm and Sackett Point Road has been completed. That project is complete. Elm and Bailey has been completed, and Hartford Turnpike and Upper State Street has been completed. All 3 of those intersections are repaired. We held off towards the end of last fiscal year purchasing bulbs that were needed, the red, amber, and green bulbs for the traffic signals. We recently took delivery of those bulbs, so over the next week we'll be replacing any bulbs that have been out over the last few months. And there was a complaint, an ongoing complaint on Homewood Avenue. Over the last few years, we've addressed this intersection of Homewood and Hartford Turnpike several times. We've made a number of adjustments, larger stop signs. We moved the stop signs closer to Hartford Turnpike, painted the stop bar, put a stop sign ahead. We've done our best. We've had Public Works trim some trees and bushes for better sight lines. And it's not the number of traffic accidents at that intersection, but when there are accidents there, they're significant in terms of damage and injuries. So last week we met with a consultant as well as the town engineer. So we're going to have a traffic engineer go out and take a look at the intersection and the area to see if he or she can give us any recommendations moving forward to make that a safer intersection.
So these accidents, though, are they driver fault? I mean, they're driver fault, aren't they? I mean,
They are. They are.
I drive that every day back and forth. I mean, I think that the movement of the line, stop sign has been very productive, actually, personally.
So I agree, and I don't know if the individuals involved in the accidents are from out of the area, that are familiar with the intersection, but the vast majority are at-fault accidents with people coming down Homewood Avenue towards Hartford Turnpike eastbound. They actually stop at the stop sign, and then they pull out in front of traffic on the main road. So we're going to take a look to see if the environment can be enhanced or changed to make it easier for them to understand that traffic does not stop. Under training and professional standards, on June 9th, we had the state property examiner come here to the police department. conduct an audit of our property and evidence room. It went very well for us. We were commended for our operations, our policies, procedures, and what we do, and what the evidence and property room looks like. So that went well, and there were no issues noted at all. You can refer to the monthly packets under training. But just to note a few things, Officer Bianchi and K9 Quella will begin narcotics training soon. Quella is actually in pre-training now, where she's being imprinted for the narcotics detection. She's driven up to Meriden, and she's handed off to the state troopers who conduct the training every day. And then Officer Bianchi will join K9 Quella in, I believe it's late August, and will stay at that training academy until early October, where they'll be certified in narcotics training. They're already certified in tracking evidence recovery, so they'll be dual certified as of October. We also went and sent a few people to a mobile command center operations training. This is a command center that, again, is a regional effort. It costs about $500,000. Because of our regional efforts and the success of them, we're able to capture a lot of grant funding. So this was no cost to taxpayers of North Haven. It was all federal grant funding, and it's a great asset for us to have available for really any purpose, large events that we need it for. And so it's a high-tech piece of equipment, computerized, large vehicle. So that training has been completed. And finally, under training, Captain Wozniak recently completed the Senior Management Institute for Police program, otherwise known as SMIP. It's a 3-week program in Boston, and it really captures leadership and executive level training. So really happy for him. It's a good notch on his belt, but it also allows him to bring back a lot of experience and training to the police department. The deputy chief attended that last year, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. It's a great experience, so we're happy that we could continue to fund that, so we have more command level personnel, captains, lieutenants, go there each summer. Under Uniform Services Division, at the end of June, a couple of stats for you. Calls for service continue to be down. At the end of June, just over 13,000 compared to just over 15,000 from the previous year. Motor vehicle stops are slightly up at 996 compared to 965 the previous year. Arrests are also up, 224 compared to 179 last year. And vehicle thefts are slightly up at 37 by the end of June compared to 32 the previous year. In June, we had 11 motor vehicle thefts, and that's compared to 3 in June the previous year. So a little uptick there as the summer months are upon us. 6 of those 11 have been recovered and processed as evidence. For evidence, we've been successful with DNA hits and evidence recovery that has allowed us this year and previous years to make arrests from stolen vehicle investigations from 1, 2, 3 years prior. So we continue to process those vehicles. It's a long-term investigation, but we're able to bring those closed with arrests at some point. Vehicle burglaries are down this year at 94 compared to 122 last year. And just like last month, the trend continues. Larcenies, all larcenies are still flat at 254 compared to 260 last year. And again, shopliftings are the biggest drivers of the all larceny category. Under the Investigative Services Division, we've had 3 commercial burglaries in June and no residential burglaries reported that month. Arrest warrants have been submitted for 2 suspects who have committed up to 10 or at least 10 commercial burglaries over the last year in North Haven. So that was a great case that our detectives conducted. We're going to be able to wrap up at least 10 burglaries with 2 suspects. Both suspects are, I believe, are currently incarcerated, so we'll be able to clear those cases. Detectives are also continuing a robbery investigation that occurred in a local park in town. It was nighttime, so no kids were at the park. But during the robbery, a handgun was displayed. A struggle ensued. During the struggle, 1 round was fired. Nobody was injured, which is a good thing. The suspect has been identified, and we anticipate an arrest very soon on that. That suspect is also currently incarcerated for a shooting incident that occurred in New Haven, where he was the shooter during that incident. Detectives are still investigating an arson that occurred in town where 2 tractor trailers in a business park were lit on fire intentionally. They served a search warrant for DNA evidence, and we anticipate an arrest warrant to stem from that very soon. There's no request for the Veneri Scholarship this month, and before we go into executive session, I'd just like to bring up one trend that we noticed recently, not just in North Haven, throughout the state. Just yesterday, we took 8 different complaints of identity theft / fraud. The majority of them are unemployment fraud. So for anybody watching at home, or if the commissioners would like to spread the word through your peers, if anybody receives a letter for unemployment benefits that they did not apply for, or if somebody owns a business that received letters regarding an employee who still works for them regarding their unemployment applications, please reach out to the people who you're receiving the letters from. And tomorrow we will be putting out on our social media platforms and a press release some websites and resources that potential victims can access in the future. That's all I have.
Excellent.
Very good, thank you.
Just one small question. When you had the regional traffic group, it seemed like there was a great deal of activity. And it seemed like there were a pretty significant percentage of misdemeanor summons. And I don't really understand misdemeanor summons as opposed to the level of citation, how it goes. And I wondered if they're all the same misdemeanor summonses, or if they're coincident to the stop.
Sure, so there's crimes, there's misdemeanor crimes,
Sure.
there's motor vehicle misdemeanor summons, and then there's infractions for motor
Yeah.
vehicles and some minor
Sure.
crimes. So a speeding violation or using your cell phone while driving would be an infraction, where there's other things like if you're driving with a suspended license,
That's
or
what I read.
if you don't have insurance on your vehicle, that would be a misdemeanor summons.
Okay. Anything that's a misdemeanor, so it's not a year in jail or more. 'Cause
No,
it's
the
not
motor
felony.
vehicle
I understand,
summons,
but it's
yeah.
higher than a traffic, I just didn't know if it changed. I sort of had a handle on it.
And there's hundreds and hundreds of
That's what I was
infractions and
thinking,
misdemeanors,
yeah.
so.
But yeah, it's not one thing that comes up all the time. I got it. Thank you.
Comment? No. I had a question actually relative to the traffic thing also. So when we have other cars, other communities here helping us and we're helping them, when someone gets pulled over, say in our town, and it's not a North Haven squad car, do the people who are pulled over contest as to what this vehicle, this out-of-town vehicle is doing, pulling them over?
We haven't had any confrontations or complaints about that. I think not only North Haven, but the region has done a good job with social media. It's been in Zip 06 and New Haven Register as far as our efforts. I think most people understand what's going on. But if there is a question about it, all the officers are well equipped to explain what we're doing and why we're there.
Yeah. Good. Any questions? Nothing? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to get out of regular session and go into executive session for discussion of personnel.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we are back now in open session after having discussed personnel matters in executive session. Any further discussion?
No.
Nope. Okay. Can I entertain a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Good night.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.